And now, talking about OCR packages, as we mentioned in the announcements, we now move on to our next segment. And we're talking about our Spotlight segment. And today we have our friend Sunil, the developer of the iSTEM program. That's the app. And Sunil, we want to welcome you. But first, we want to thank you for taking your time to come to this episode. We know this is a Christmas time and depends on where you are. It's an important thing for people to celebrate, to be with their families and all of that. And most especially in India, we know it's kind of late. And for you to be able to come up here and be with us shows that you are dedicated to us. And we want to thank you for that. Welcome, Sunil, to Blind Android Users Podcast.
Thanks a lot, Warren. So I think I generally sleep late, so I think it's good. First of all, I would just like to thank you that you gave me an opportunity to come here and talk about what we are building and what we are working on.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about iSTEM. So that's I-STEM, STEM. And we do want to say this from the onset that when you search for it on the Play Store, we're going to have the URL in our show notes. However, sometimes when you search for it, you just put ISTEM, you may see something from the Indian government as well. I saw that and then I realized, oh no, this is the wrong one. So this one will have attached to it saying accessibility solutions. So that's how you're going to make the difference between the iSTEM from the iSTEM guys and the one from the Indian government.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so yeah, that even that has a story behind it. Earlier when we started iSTEM, I think we were only one, but now there are a lot of iSTEM here and there.
That's right. So let's go about the history of iSTEM. How did you guys come about iSTEM? We know it's a crowded field. We have so many of these OCR things. However, yours has a little twist to it. You have a different take on it. But first, though, before we get to all of that, let's talk about the history. When did you get started and what led to the development of this iSTEM app?
Sure. I'll start at the beginning. So I am one of the co-founder of iSTEM, and then we also have other co-founder with me on the team, Karthik and Shakul and Akashdeep. So all of us are visually impaired ourselves. So and then all of us have tech background. So when we were in high schools or college, so we have studied the engineering fields, most of us. And then one of the Shakul has mainly studied the mathematics major. So we all of us had that STEM background, no? So to say the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics field background. So when we were at the study, when we were studying at college, we were studying at our uh, back at our schools, high schools. We realized that there is no good apps to understand as to how you could read mathematics, how you could read science, and how could you read mathematical expressions that you may encounter in different textbooks. So there are OCR apps that you can that is already there in the market, where you can go and read out the text, can take a snapshot and then read out whatever is there, or can upload a PDF and then accordingly read the text. But being STEM background, our study material were kind of different, no? So we had this STEM subjects and we wanted something to have an impact on this. So again, so iSTEM initially started as an advocacy group. So we were a group of people who were just trying in India to uh, create an awareness as to how person with disabilities can perform well, and how they can work in STEM field as well. Something which has been in India considered kind of not a field for visually impaired people in Indian context. But again, we wanted to break that stereotype, and therefore we started different hackathons as well as to how we can sensitize employees within different corporates as to how visually impaired people code, for example, and then how they can work as a coder as well as product manager and whatnot. So it started from there, but all of us had the technical background, so we also wanted to talk, use that our skills to generate some technical solution that can help a person who is studying in STEM. So that's where this product came. So we initially created a web portal where you can go and upload your file, be it any subject now. So one thing is the STEM part of it that I just talked about. Another thing is how so another thing that was missing in the OCR is that how do you know the structure of the document. So let's say you have a table. Now table is something which is very common in, let's say, economics and other fields that you are studying. And table is something the normal OCR messes up. It does not detect where is row, where is column. Then it tries to read every row as a single line. It doesn't make that distinction as to where is the different cells and how you can go about it, reading it in a structural fashion like we do using our JAWS and other screen reader that we have. So we also wanted to extract that information as to what is table, what is list, what is heading, and just so that a person can extract the content that they want to read and then can fully appreciate the accessibility of the content that one can have due to the technology. So that's where we all that there was another feature that we wanted to include in our app or in our solution that we were building alongside the mathematics part that we have. So I would say, so that's why we started as a web portal, and now we also have an app out. We launched it back in March here in India, and now it's kind of everywhere.
Can I ask you what you mean by the STEM field, please? Because I don't know about some of our listeners, but ignorant me, musician, arty type, I'm just imagining stems in fields. I don't think that's what you're talking about. So could you explain that, please?
Yeah.
for
So
us?
basically, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics, for the in that order, STEM. And the app name itself, which is iSTEM Accessibility Solution, that mainly refers that inclusive science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That is our company name as well. So that's where the STEM means. So in general, what this means is if you are, let's say, an engineer, maybe let's say a software engineer, someone who is let's say studying economics, or someone who is doing a major in mathematics, or let's say you are someone who are doing another engineering, like let's say civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and whatnot. So whatever the engineering field plus natural sciences field such as physics, chemistry, if you are reading, so those subjects come within STEM fields. And this is in contrast to, yeah, as you said, this is in contrast to arts, where you have music, and then you have painting, and then you have politics and geography and other subjects, humanities subjects that you have. Yeah,
Of course, with engineering and mathematics and things, of course, numbers, correct numbers and symbols are very, very important. I have in the past done some programming. I wasn't very good. It taught me to respect programmers. Is the main thing I took away from it. And something I've noticed with a lot of OCR packages is that they often get numbers wrong, or they'll say I instead of L, or things like this. So how do you deal with that and make sure that people don't end up trying to add the wrong figures, for example? Do you have some special quality control? And is this an app just for documents that you've got, say, from a PDF or a photo that someone sent you? Or do people take their own photos as well? Because that can be where some of the most dodgy recognition is. Well, if they're anything like my camera skills anyway, which are not very good. So how do you deal with that? Because obviously, if you're trying to engineer, I don't know, a bridge, and you get your sums wrong, everyone falls in the river, right? So yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah, we have right now, we have different algorithms through which we detect what are the different symbols. So, again, when you're studying in STEM fields, you have, the symbols like Greek symbols. You have, for example, alpha, beta, gamma, theta, pi, whatnot. And these are the symbols, for example, are very commonly used in physics, and similarly, it's in chemistry as well. And then you have things like superscript, subscript, where you can have some numbers which are either lower than the baseline characters that you have in a line, or a little bit up in case of superscript or exponential or power, you may say. So what we do is, again, yeah, so there are special algorithms that we run on the image or PDF that you upload to the our services, and try to detect, what is baseline, what is something which is in, superscript with respect to the baseline, then what is subscript. Similarly, where is the fraction symbol, so that you can distinguish between, let's say, x plus y over 3, and then, similarly, so that 3 is something which is is a denominator below the x plus y. So these are some of the things that we detect, and again, so we are currently having more than 95% accuracy if the image quality is good. Now coming to the other part of it, which is what do we expect as an input. So initially, when we created our web portal, we had only images and PDF as an input, where you can upload some images or PDF that you have in your PC. Now, because now we have also an app, so for app it makes sense, to have a way to take pictures and then accordingly send it across to the OCR and get the accurate result. So in general, again, that is you can say a limitation, or you can say a kind of restriction that we have. That image quality, of course, matters, whatever OCR algorithm you pick. So if the image quality itself is not good, then OCR tends to keep doing the mistake, because if the input is not up to the mark, or if it's not good quality, so it goes on misdetecting things and things like that. So now coming to the camera part, as to how you say that in which direction I should move my camera so that I can get the whole view of the image that I want to capture. Now that is something we have been working on. We have a basic model out as well, as to direct user into which direction they want to go. Which direction they should move their camera so that they can capture the whole page. So now and we are again iterating on it. So whatever we have a V1 out of in public right now. Anyone who is using our app, they can test it out and give us feedback as to how it is working for them. And we are continuously working on improving it as well, because that is something which is not an easy task. I'll tell you from an engineering perspective, because in Android, what happens is the camera quality is something which can range from let's say you have 3,000 and 4,000 Indian rupee phones to 80,000, 85,000, where you have Pixel 7 Pro and Samsung and whatnot. So the camera quality is not something which is same across in case of Android. So camera quality also matters. Then how you, depending on the camera, if you shake it a lot, so the photo tends to sometime blurry if the camera is not that good and it's not able to stabilize. But again, we are improving on it and trying to see what we can do to make it best. But yeah, answering your question, there is a V1 out where we direct the user as to which direction they should move their camera to take best photo. So we support both the scenarios. You can capture the photo and you can upload images and PDF.
How do you make sure that, for example, an 8 isn't confused with a 3 or a 1 with a 7? Can you do that, or is there only so much you can do for that?
So now all of this is written down in the algorithm that we have, machine learning algorithm, as to how you detect different characters. So for example, taking 1 and 7 in consideration. Now again, handwriting is something which is always a challenge. So we try to do the best we can do in handwriting. But if you were to, let's say, take a printed photo or a printed page, now that is something where you will see 1 is something which is straight, a vertical line from top to down. Now 7 is something which is let's say a tilted line from, which is going from left to right at a slant. Similarly 7 and then has some a horizontal bar above it, and then depending on how you write it and depending on what the font is, can also have another horizontal bar in between. So in general, what I'm getting at is different. So we try to detect the shape as to what different characters have different shape, and it is the technology basically is same as whatever we have other OCR. It's just that we have trained it on more STEM related database data, and then have customized it for extracting out the structure information from the math, because in math it's important where the text is written with regard to other text. So that is an information that we capture while we are doing the OCR of the page, and that's how we are able to infer what is in superscript, what is in this number, and then what is subscript, what is fraction, what is radical symbol, and so on.
So rather than just having each character scanned by itself, it's very much dependent on the context of the rest of the page or the rest of the line, by the sounds of it.
That's
yeah,
right.
that
That's
makes
right.
it. And your server, presumably these things get uploaded to your server, and you have software that learns gradually how to read better. Does it? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So right now, yeah, most of the conversion we do is on cloud. So you upload the image or you upload the file, and then we convert it on the cloud again. Because as I said, Android is an environment where you cannot trust the device most of the time, depending on the configuration. So right now we don't have any on-device model. Not for things like math OCR and things. So we send it to our servers, and there the conversion happens, and then that's how you get the result back, and then you are able to read it.
So how about privacy? If we're sending our mathematical stuff to your servers, what if someone has sent you their design for the next type of new invention, and that's secret because otherwise somebody might copy it or something. What's the privacy of the information that you collect?
Yeah. So in our privacy policy, we have the clause in that we are also very strict about, so that if you want any of our files, any of the files that you uploaded, the source file, to be deleted, you can request us, and then we can delete those files. Now, right now we are working on a feature that from the app itself you can click on, let's say, a delete button, and then you will be the source file from the your app or your from our server will be deleted. But right now, as it stands, the person needs to email us, saying that this is the file I don't want to be used for any of our learnings or our OCR improvements. So that's where they can delete it.
You see, I think if I was a user of this app, I would want the chance when I install it to say whether I'm happy for my stuff to be used as part of your machine learning. And depending on what work I'm doing, I might have to not use your app because of the fact, because if I often needed to do secret, well, not secret like in a dodgy way, but just secret, because it might be commercially sensitive or something, stuff, like my organization or whatever, they might not allow me to use an app where I'm sending stuff to the cloud and it might get used for machine learning unless I email every time. And if I'm using that every day, that's going to be a bit annoying. So I'm not going to have time to email you every day. So I think I would want an opt-out option that I could change in the settings in the future if I wanted to. Is that something you have considered or are considering?
That's a good suggestion. Yeah. So we are, as I said, now we are working on it. This part. So in the future updates, in the coming month or so, we will have that feature, where a person can totally opt out, out of the the data that they don't want us to use for the machine learning algorithm, or they can, let's say on the individual file level as well, this is something I don't want to be used. Yeah, so we are working on it right now.
From all that you've said, that's a lot of work. And because this is a different kind of app, let's be honest. And I really congratulate you guys for doing that. And most especially, as it is, a lot of blind students don't get into math. And it's such a refreshing air to see that we have something that would help blind folks, students with their math. I was a very lousy math guy, probably a failed historian too. Uh, but I wish I had something like this back in my day, and it would have come in handy. But this is really important because young students out there that have math problems and someone trying to read to them and all of that, this is definitely a fresh air. And I'm glad that we have you guys there. Now, you've mentioned some of those challenges already. What are some other challenges that you guys had when creating this app? Because from the back end of it and all of that, it's complicated. So, when we use apps, we have no clue as to what happens. And all we see is an app and we're happy to use it. But you guys have a lot to work with. What are some of the challenges that you guys had that you had to find ways of overcoming?
Yeah. So again, so a lot of it is engineering problem only. So then how you detect these things as to what is heading, what is table, what is list, what is a paragraph, and similarly, if it's, let's say, digital document, we also extract things like what is the link, and what is footnote, what is other parts of the other structural element that you may have on a page. And we again try to annotate all of them so that you can have a better reading experience than what a normal OCR will give you. So again, figuring out all these things has been a challenge in the beginning. Now, right now we have the model, those are working well. Again, improvement is something we keep doing because the progression is something, the improvement is something which is a all-time thing. So you cannot be say that, I'm done with my product. There is no further new improvement needed. So that always goes on. Then mathematics part itself is a big challenge. Then another thing is, so because we are talking about these STEM subjects, so these are generally large books. The people, what people do is they generally upload the big files to our server. Then initially when we started, we didn't think about how if a lot of load comes or a lot of a file with a very many number of pages come. So how do you deal with it? Now currently we are working on it because we had previously have an issue where our server went offline for some time because there were a lot of requests coming in. But now currently we are working on it, trying to make it more stable, and so that is more again an engineering challenge as to how you serve all your users in the minimal amount of time. Either you increase the resources, server resources, or you serve the request in a way that is not inconvenient for the user by queuing them or things. So these are again all the challenges that we had. Again, another thing that we on terms of the communication and on terms of spreading the app. So we have been reaching out to a lot of people here in India, going to different blind people organization and talking about the app at different platforms. So that has been another fun, I wouldn't say a challenge, but it's an opportunity or a fun for us to talk about what we are doing. So again, that's where again I again will thank you guys for inviting us here, and we hope that the listeners will try out the app and give us any feedback that we might be doing wrong and how we can do better. So I think there is already a feedback that that I already gotten. So we are working on it. You guys will soon see it in the app.
John here. I have a comment and then I have a couple of questions as well. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the focus for the STEM that you've put on the STEM field when it comes to accessibility, because it's very needed. And I haven't mentioned it on the podcast, but my background actually is engineering. My bachelor's degree is in mechanical engineering, and
Okay.
that feels like a kind of a past life at this point for me. But it I did have a lot of challenges when it came to mathematical based stuff and physics and equations and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that you guys are focusing on that field specifically. And I just had a question about the app, because I was playing around with it for a little while, and I noticed that when you go to use something, it tells you how many credits you're going to use, and I think it said my credits I had a balance of 250 if I'm not mistaken. So I'm wondering if you could explain how the credits system works.
Yeah, so currently, whenever anyone signs up on our app or our portal, so what we do is we assign them 2,500 credits by default. So which is basically translates to 1 credit for one page conversion, one image, one PDF page, whatever. So that basically goes to, let's say 2,500 pages quota. Now, this is something, which is refreshable in the sense that, once you decrease the credit, I mean, when you exhausted the credit, you can go ahead and request us to give you more credits. But again, just for the initial usage, we generally have that limit, so that we can, while we are working on it, we are trying to reach to more and more people. We have a fair usage, kind of a policy for the app currently.
Okay, that makes sense. So is it something you would have to purchase more credits, or do you just request them?
Currently, you request them, yeah. So we are testing it out. We are asking people to play with it. So yeah, you request them.
All right, cool. And the other question I had was the video OCR feature, which was compelling to me, because I don't know how many times I've searched for like a how-to video on YouTube, and I wanted somebody to explain something to me, and the video starts playing, and it's just music and words on the screen telling you the directions. And I noticed in your app you can upload a video, and it will, I think it said the limit was 200 megabytes if I'm not mistaken, but you can upload a video and have it automatically read any text that appears on that video, or automatically capture it. And I thought that was really cool, but I was wondering if there's any way to get that to work with YouTube, or if you would have to have the file available locally and then upload it to get that to work.
Yeah, so that's right. So again, that is another feature. So this is something, where we call it an audio video accessibility in the app. Basically what it is that we generate both the captions. Let's say if you have an audio and video, so if you upload an audio or video file, you can have a caption as to what is being spoken in the audio or video. And if it is a video, you can also request for the text that is being displayed in the video OCR, in other words. So that is where you can see that is where you can read. So there are timestamp coming in the output files. You generally get so we generally generate 2 files. One is a simple text file, another is an SRT file. So there is a timestamp which is present in the output, and due to which, reading, by looking at which, you can make a correlation as to what is being shown at what time. Yeah, now replying to your question. So yeah, currently it is, the limitation is that we have 200 MB file limitation. And yes, we only right now allowing a video file to be uploaded, not with YouTube link. But again, that is something which we are planning in the future to have, where, at least you can upload or you can provide a public URL that, and if it matches within the limit that we currently have, and then you can also get the text for that. But no, currently you're right. So right now you need to have the file in your local to be uploaded for this service.
That makes sense. I'm glad you guys are working on implementing it. It would be nice to just be able to share from a website or provide a link or something. So that's cool. I really like that feature.
That would be
Yeah.
especially good for somebody with, an Android phone that doesn't have that much memory. If they could give you a YouTube link or another video link, that would be a good feature. I'm wondering, I'm remembering back to my school days, because unlike John, I did not study anything like this after school. But I remember graphs and pie charts and things like that. Can this app read those, or is that just, asking too much now? Because it sounds like an amazing app. I'm not asking these questions to rubbish your app. I just wonder, if it's for mathematicians and engineers and people studying, I don't know, economics, things like that. There are a lot of pie charts, aren't there, and graphs and things. So can the app read those?
Again, that's an interesting question. Yeah. So right now, no. So right now, what we do is we just extract the mathematical part of it, mathematical equations, mathematical tables and things, but no pie chart, no graphs. In other words, no alt text generation for the images. So that is something which is not in the near pipeline, but that is also some of the ideas we have for the app for the for a, I would say, a more distant feature, because right now there are other things that we want to prioritize. But currently, yeah, you are right. Currently, we are not supporting pie charts and images. But in general, down the line when we start working on it, the approach will be same as you said. We'll try to classify different images and try to see if it is a pie chart, what information can I extract as to how much percentage different category refers to. If it's, let's say, bar graph, how much data is at what value. But right now, no. Right now it just does mathematical expression.
Okay, it's just interesting to know, what can I do, what can't I do, and sometimes there are those other graphs, aren't there, which I forget the name of, where there's a line that can show that the economy went up or it went down over this many months, or it's not a bar chart. What are they called?
Yeah, in
They're quite
general,
often
those
used, I
graphs
think,
and
aren't they?
curves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Graphs and curves in general. Yeah. No, so right now we are not supporting that part. Yeah. So there is no automated alt text generation right now for the images.
Okay. My favorite pie chart ever has to be slightly off topic, but I'm in a choir, and we had an engineer. He's left now, unfortunately. He moved away, but he used to sell the CDs, and he used to do a pie chart of how many had sold at different times. But instead of just presenting it on paper, he used to make it into a cake. That was my favorite ever pie chart. That was brilliant.
Basically, he wanted you to eat some of that feed. That's what it
It
was.
was literally a pie chart. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose you'd have called it a cake chart. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Cake chart. Good.
Brilliant. Now, Sunil, let's talk about availability. Where is this available? Is it only available in the US, India, UK, or where is this available? Can people say someone in Mongolia, could they have access to it, or what countries and languages are supported?
So right now it's available in all the countries. So it's general access. Anyone anywhere can download it from Play Store. So currently we only have Android app. Now, in terms of the languages, we support English, and then in a lot of Indian languages around Hindi, and then Gujarati, Marathi, and then there are other languages as well for Arabic and other things that we support. But yeah, so that's how the language support looks like right now.
Even the video OCR supports the same number of languages that the app supports, or is there different?
Yeah, video OCR is having a different language support. So there you might not have, you don't have things for Arabic and things like that. So India, again, English is something which is supported everywhere. Then there is support for Hindi in the video OCR, basically the Devanagari script as you call it. But yeah, the scope is restricted in video OCR for the languages currently compared to the OCR. I mean the OCR service that we have.
There's something I want to mention also, because you guys, the app is so chock full of other things. It's not just OCR. You do have some tutorials on there, maybe for TalkBack, and you have other things there as well, communities. So it's an inclusive, just like the I stands for in the iStem, it's inclusive in so many ways. So there are a lot of things that one can use this app to in learning. So I'm glad to see that you guys have gone through this length of including other items in there as well. And by the way, we'll be featuring this app as an app of the week next week. I'll be doing a demo of the app. So if you want to really get used to it or know the quick tour of it, I'll be demonstrating that next week. It's a really great app.
That would be great. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sunil. This has been absolutely beautiful, and especially for you coming up at this time to do this with us. We truly appreciate that. And would you like to say any final words? How could people get hold of you? I know we're going to have some of this information in our show notes, but is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah. So again, first of all, I would like to thank you and your the team to invite me here to talk about the app. Now, a little bit more about the app. So we talked about all the features. Another feature, which is very critical to us in the app is that you can give the feedback on the OCR or about the app from the app itself. So that, if you are looking at your request history, and if you click on your file name in the request history list, there is an option called give feedback, where you can, or add review. So where you can go and either write your text message, do a voice note, whatever you prefer, and can give us as to the feedback as to how we are doing. Because the feedback is something we really need to improve on how we are doing, what we can do better, what are the suggestions that you have we can do, and how we can make it more inclusive, more better app. In general, we have that vision that we want this to be, the app to go for visually impaired community, because we ourselves are visually impaired people. We really want this to highlight.
Thank you so much again for coming. And tell me something. Should we want you to come back down the road again? Maybe some things have improved and all of that. Would you be willing to come again? And maybe this time bring some of your friends with you if they have the time.
Sure thing. Yeah, we'd love to come again and talk about what we are doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's plan on talking about this next year, God willing.
That's sure thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sunil, for coming. And it's been a pleasure having you talk with us. And we do assure you that the listeners of Blind Android Users Podcast appreciate people like you. And thank you so much for trying to improve the lives of the blind people.
Thank you, everyone.